Welcome to SCI Asia's podcast on environment and policy in Asia. In this podcast series, we invite experts to discuss the many critical and complex environmental challenges in Asia and how to find solutions through policy and partnerships.
Welcome everyone to SCI podcast series on optimizing urban food resilience. I'm Kuntum Melati from Stockholm Environment Institute Asia. This is the first episode of a series of a podcast on promoting circularity approaches in food system. Adopting circularity approach meaning we aim to apply strategies that aim to transform our food system to become more regenerative as it mimics the nature, resilient and sustainable with resource efficiency strategies, and tackling climate change through waste reduction. For today's episode, we will discuss innovative action in fighting food loss. We are joined by a food waste fighter, Alban, who has started a food surplus delivery app called Yindi in Thailand. Luis and his team were concerned that despite being one of the world's most renowned food spots, Thailand's food waste problem is on the rise. With over 17 million tons being thrown away every year, every day mountains of unsold food are being discarded while being perfectly edible and good because local merchants like bakeries or grocery stores don't have enough buyers before they close the store. It's not only a terrible waste when so many people in today's world are going hungry, but it's also damaging to the environment. So then they created an answer called Yindi, a food surplus delivery app connecting Bangkok restaurants and cafes with overstock to consumers at highly discounted price. It could be up to 80% of the normal price. And it creates less waste and extra revenue for food sellers and bargain meals for the hungry eaters. So it could be a win-win situation. Welcome, Louis, to our podcast. So I've mentioned a bit about Yindi, but why don't you tell us more on what encouraged you to start Yindi and how did you do it?
Thank you for inviting us, for highlighting this massive problem. To tell you a little bit about myself, 2 years ago, during COVID, I volunteered for a food bank in Bangkok that was redistributing food to people in need. And it really woke me up to a massive problem, food waste. So I started researching about the problem and was trying to find a way to prevent it. The problem of food waste is bigger than whatever we think. Today, around 40% of all the food produced worldwide is wasted. Every day, food retailers throw away perfectly good food worth around $1 billion because they can no longer sell it. On the other hand, healthy and quality food is getting more and more expensive. We are hitting record for food price, and that's terrible. And if you think about it, it's even worse because when you throw away food, you also throw away resources, water, gas, electricity with the food. And now food waste is contributing to 10% of our greenhouse gas. If you think about it, that's roughly 4 times what the airline industry is polluting. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, there must be a solution. So I created Yindi. And so it's a platform where we connect consumers like you and me to restaurants and food retailers like supermarket, hotels that can now sell their daily surplus at discount to improve, obviously, their bottom line while helping consumers get access to quality food. And by doing so, we are all working to make the world a better place. So it's a win-win-win. Save food, save money, save the planet. So that's our slogan. We started this 2 years ago. We built a website to test if people would like it. And, in just a few months, we already registered like thousands of users only through word of mouth. We were featured in a Bangkok post, I think after 4 months. And the story really started. And we have now around 80,000 people who downloaded our app. We have onboarded some of the top food brands from major supermarkets like Gourmet Market or Big C that will join Yindi soon, prestigious hotels like Santara or Marriott, cool restaurants like Texas Chicken or S&P, and a lot of local and small businesses like Sunshine Market, Paris Mickey, or Ipodo if you like donuts. So this is a sustainable revolution that we've started in the food industry in Thailand. So we're really, really proud of it. And it's just the beginning.
Thanks, Louis. It's really remarkable what you're doing. So it's very interesting that you targeted restaurants and cafes for this app and linking it with consumers directly. I just want to quote from the report of the high-level panel expert on food security and nutrition, on food loss and waste. So it is mentioned that food services in the hospitality sectors, such as hotels, restaurants, canteens, catering, etc., can play a double role in food loss waste reduction strategies. So one, by reducing their own losses and waste, and also as a key places to raise awareness of consumers to experiment and to understand consumer behavior. And for me, listening for your explanation, it seems like to raise that Yindi is taking this role. Based on your experience, what would you see as the biggest challenges to promote sustainable consumption related to food, of course, and how did you overcome it?
Yes, of course, you're totally right. I think that the first point of Yindi is to empower people to fight food waste. But the first point is, or you need to know more the impact of food waste before tackling it. I think that the awareness level in Southeast Asia is pretty low. I think it's linked to, for example, in Thailand, to the country history. Thailand is a country of plenty. They never really run out of food. So if you think that resources is unlimited and there's no impact, well, you order food a lot, you don't pay attention to what you waste. But now today we know that our resources are actually limited. We need, as a French person, I would say my education was totally different. I think it also comes from history. You know that France was conquered by Germany during Second World War. So our grandparents were actually running out of food during a period of time. And to get food, you had to queue for hours. You had rationing tickets. And so every piece of bread that you were getting for your family was super, super important. And we grew up with that. I think, education from our grandparents that were given to our parents and then to us. And on top of that, a lot of campaign to raise awareness on hunger in Africa, for example, really, really raised up our level in food waste. So here in Thailand, I think that it required strong communication. We need to raise the level of awareness. And Yindi's secret to do that is actually very attractive because we are matching sustainability with affordability. And we know that Thai people love discount, right? So discount come in the app as a teaser, I would say, as an incentive to onboard people, but also talk about a serious issue. And we've seen that people have been really, really responsive. So as soon as they tried out the app, they start loving it for its purpose. And they start talking to their friends, colleagues, and family and say, hey guys, you should download the app. This is really cool what they're doing. And by doing so, they're also, spreading the words and raising more awareness on this issue. We're talking a lot about plastic waste in Thailand, which is another really big topic. But if you look at the trash of Thailand, 60 to 70% is food. And this is also a very important topic that we need to put on the spotlight. Right? So I really appreciate that you are actually talking about this issue. On top of the app and the impact that we're having, I think that we're now trying to see how we can, involve more large organization and maybe government to be part of the change. So we've started a Yindi awareness program with co-working spaces, with schools, and with corporation to start raising this awareness level. So we've organized corporate program with company like Sansiri, with the Thai Union, with Pomelo or Agoda, through different ways, like a surplus breakfast when we get surplus from hotels and we bring it to you kind of show employees that, well, these surplus are actually amazing and worth rescuing. We're organizing food waste quizzes, among other activities, right? So we want to be more inclusive, bring more players or stakeholders into the equation because the food waste problem is not just in one place, right? It's not just about retailers throwing away food. It's throughout the supply chain. So from farm to the table. And it's also after at home that waste happens. 40% of the food waste actually happen, once the food is arrived to your home. This is thing that can only be tackled if people start doing something at home.
Thank you. Those are really great strategies. And we do realize that it's not an easy thing to do to be a food waste fighter. But obviously you and Yidi have done some amazing work. So what would you say to our listeners on how they can also do small but powerful things to change our food system and be part of this journey in reducing food loss and waste?
Well, I think it's a fun journey, right? Everybody wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. And food waste is literally something where everybody can have an impact. As a customer, as a merchant in a food business, you can do something. So the first point, I think, is what can you do as a shopper, I would say, to reduce food waste at home? And it's not that complicated. I have some tips, that I like to give when it comes about shopping. The first is very simple, is maybe you should check your fridge before you start going to a supermarket. So you can actually buy only what you need. The second is if you can plan in advance your meal for the week, it really helps you avoid, buying impulse items and stick to your shopping list, right? This works very well. An easy one is also to not shop hungry. So maybe buy some food before, eat something, because when you're hungry, you tend to buy more things and usually not the good thing, chips and stuff that you don't really need. And last one is be smart. Be smarter than the brands that are trying to sell you in bulk. When you see the buy two, get one free, buy 10, get two free, it's exciting, but you end up buying actually too much. And if you do that, you're actually saving at the same time. It's a good thing. At home, fighting food waste can also be really fun. It's about being creative with the surplus food that you have. You can learn recipes, you can invent new ones. I'm going to give you one that I really love. What you can do with hard bread. When you order your baguette, you haven't had time to eat it, and next day it's hard, right? And you're not going to eat it. Well, there's actually a really cool recipe of a dessert called pain perdu. It's a French recipe. It means lost bread. When you can turn that into a very nice sweet pancake. So I really invite you to test it out. There are thousands of cool recipe and surplus recipe apps online. So yeah, just go for it and try it out. You have some surplus noodle, surplus fruits and vegetable. What can you do? Just look online. I think that the journey is important. So it's important to start one step at a time. You can take the elevator if you're really motivated, but there's no rush. You need to start somewhere. And we really believe, like, for example, Yindi will become, for a lot of people, I would say, their first step in the zero waste journey. You start, and once you start, there's no going back. You're already a food fighter, and now you maybe want to learn how to do extra things. So on our social media, we are spreading a lot of recipe or cool things to reduce waste. And most of the time, actually, it's really cool because it saves you also a lot of money, right? So I give you a very simple example. If you buy a lettuce or if you buy carrots, the roots that usually you cut and discard. Well, you know what? Now you just put it in water and it will start growing back. Then you plant it and come on, you're getting a free salad or a free carrot, right? And I think it's fun because you're doing it by yourself and you're doing something that matters. And last but not least, I would say that if you care about this mission, I think you should spread it. You should talk to your friends. You should talk to your family. You should talk to as many people as you can, because I think it's the number that makes the difference, right? So it's good to do something, share on your social media about what you're doing and spread the passion to other people. And this is how we start a movement.
Thank you, Louis. I think those are great recommendations. Very practical, very applicable. I think we all are already in the journey, right? Because all of us love food and we cannot live without food. So whether we like it or not, we have to reduce our food loss and waste. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode of the series. See you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to SEI Asia's podcast on environment and policy in Asia. For more information on these topics, guests, and our work, please visit our website on www.sei.org.